Yo, what is happening, guys? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back to the channel, and just a quick update video today because out of nowhere this morning, Nintendo confirmed that there is going to be a Pokemon-specific Nintendo Direct that will happen before E3. So literally less than 2 weeks after we get the Super Mario Maker 2 Nintendo Direct, we suddenly have Pokemon Sword and Shield getting their own specific Direct to kind of prepare us for E3 that week before the show. And this definitely caught a lot of people by surprise. It caught us off guard. And, you know, as I usually like to say with these things, I totally recognize that there's going to be 3,000 other videos from other YouTubers discussing this stuff, but, you know, as per usual, I have stuff to say when it comes to this, and I also feel like my opinion is usually pretty unique when it comes to Pokemon specifically, just because, as I have to remind you guys every time, I'm not a big Pokemon fan. I've never really played the series, and I don't know a whole lot about it. So I feel like my perspective can sometimes be a little bit unique. So what's going on? What has Nintendo actually told us here? Well, they put out this tweet this morning. Tune in on June 5th at 6 a.m. Pacific Time for roughly 15 minutes of new information on Pokemon Sword and Shield for Nintendo Switch in a live-streamed Pokemon Direct presentation. There you go, fairly standard stuff. That is happening 6 o'clock in the morning where I live. That is next Wednesday, so it's about 9 days from today, the date I'm recording this, the day that this information went live. I'm not going to be waking up to watch it that early in the morning. I'm glad to know it's only 15 minutes, so when I get up before I go to work, I'll probably have a chance to watch it. I usually don't wake up until about an hour and a half or so after this thing will already be live. And since I'm not a diehard Pokemon fan, I don't need to watch it live, but I will certainly watch it after the fact. And so part of the reason I even wanted to just talk about this and cover this for you guys, even though I'm not a Pokemon fan, is because, as I have stated on the Spawncast, the week that Pokemon Sword and Shield was revealed, I decided to, just for the sake of kind of doing it, to give this game a shot. So Pokemon Sword and Shield, whichever one of those two I end up buying, will officially be my first Pokemon games. Definitely curious. I'm excited just because, you know, new video games are exciting, and to play a series I've never played before. Sure, that is certainly exciting, but I don't have this, like, active, like, enthusiasm about it just because it's not a series that I'm really into or have any experience with. So it'll be a really fun experiment for me to give it a shot and to kind of maybe share my experience with you guys. I know a lot of you out there will be very excited to hear me talk about it and to kind of know that I'm going to be playing the game. So that part will certainly be a lot of fun. And hey, I mean, I like video games, and I like Nintendo's video games, so there is always a chance that it surprises me and I end up really enjoying it. I mean, I have no doubt that the game is going to be high quality. I've never doubted the quality of Pokemon games. I hope no one is misunderstanding my opinion here. I don't think they're bad games, they just haven't appealed to me. I'm not a huge RPG guy. There's a few that I do like, but I'm not a huge RPG guy. I was a little bit too old to get into the Pokemon show when it started. I was just a few years after that time, and so it just never really clicked in my world. So I'm excited to play the game, which means when it comes to this Direct, I'm excited to see the Direct. Of course, not being a longtime fan and not being super familiar with a lot of the intricate details and nuances of the series throughout its history means it's really hard for me to kind of talk with you guys and predict for you guys what they will actually show. I mean, I just don't have enough history. If I could wager any guess, I'm assuming whatever new things are being thrown into this game, that they're probably going to have to cover some of that. You know, however Pokemon Sword and Shield is going to be different from the previous iterations, however it is going to be an evolution of the gameplay, or the world building, the characters, the dialogue, the combat, whatever, you know, mechanics in combat that might be changing. Hopefully they'll detail that stuff. You know, what's really interesting as a non-Pokemon fan on the outside, watching the Pokemon community discuss and react to it for the past few years, it's a very interesting thing. And what I've taken away from that is that Pokemon fans, as much as you guys just love and adore and live and breathe and eat everything Pokemon, a lot of you guys don't seem to have a lot of faith in the franchise, and I don't know if that makes sense to you or not, but all I've ever seen is people basically stating they have no faith in the series or the franchise or the Game Freak, you know, the companies behind it, Pokemon Company, Nintendo. no one seems to have any faith that they're ever going to do anything major to change the series or add anything new to it. Even stuff that a lot of people want to see, all I ever see is people saying, it's Game Freak, they're not going to do this, they're not going to do this great thing, they're not going to change this one mechanic, they're not going to improve this one flaw, they're going to keep doing the same carbon copy thing over and over again. And so, it's interesting, and it's always been interesting to me, to hear the Pokemon community say those kinds of things, because you guys love the franchise and that IP so much, yet you kind of sometimes dog the companies behind it, and you don't seem to have any faith in it actually improving or doing new and cool and better things ever. So when I think about how Pokemon Sword and Shield might differ from previous games, it's hard for me to understand what that means, because with any other game franchise, I could envision how The Witcher 4 might be different from The Witcher 3, how the next Zelda might be different from Breath of the Wild, Metroid Prime 4 might be different from Other M or Metroid Prime 3, and yada yada. I can just go and go and go, the next Star Fox, the next Pikmin. But Pokemon, whereas I could normally project ways that I think it could differ, I've only seen from Pokemon fans that there's no reason to expect them to change this game that much. And I will say that's a little bit disappointing. I think the benefit I have is because I've never played a Pokemon game, it's gonna all be new to me by the time I step in. But for a lot of you guys, it sounds like you're not really expecting a lot of new when you play Sword and Shield. And so for you guys who are diehard fans, I guess in that sense I kind of feel bad for you. Something else I've kind of noted from Pokemon games and the Pokemon community over the years is something I would think they would spend a lot of time on is talking about the new Pokemon that are going to be in the game, because I do know that that's a thing that happens with every new game, is there are new Pokemon that show up. And so, they showed us 3 of the new Pokemon in that first reveal of Sword and Shield. Sobble is the only one I remembered, because I think I said I was going to start with Sobble, and then I don't even remember who the other 2 are. So, but either way, so they showed those 3 new Pokemon, and that has people really excited, because the new Pokemon are at least one of the consistent new things in every Pokemon game. So whatever it means to have different Pokemon, I don't even know why Pokemon are different. I mean, I'm literally that unaware. I guess like, you got a fire Pokemon or you have like a leaf Pokemon, right? So they have elements. So I assume the way that they attack in an RPG, so many RPGs revolve around the elements. This one has this is a water-powered enemy, so you need to use like a fire element attack and stuff like that. I've played enough RPGs to at least know that, luckily. And so I assume that has to be a huge mechanic to Pokemon, right? If there's fire and water and leaf Pokemon, then clearly the elements and how you combat play into it, and you get probably different attacks. So, and if I'm wrong, you guys are obviously just going to yell at me for just being so ignorant about Pokemon, but you know me, I'm not a Pokemon guy. So that's what I think is unique about my perspective, I hope, is talking about it and being excited to play this game, knowing that I just don't really know anything about it. So it's just going to be very fresh to me. So I would assume the Nintendo Direct is going to cover all the new Pokemon that are in this game, what that means. And I mean, I would love to be surprised and see that they're doing things that are huge major changes and shakeups. When I cover this Direct after it happens, I'm gonna literally have to wait and sort of see what the Pokemon community says about it, and kind of discuss the Pokemon community's reactions to it. Because I can't tell you what I think about, oh, they changed from this thing to now this thing. This is going to be really crazy. All I can do is learn from you guys what has changed and kind of gauge people's reactions, the goods and the bads to the changes you see. And then I'll just discuss like, well, the Pokemon community seems to say that this is a huge change, and, it seems like a lot of people really like this change or they don't. So it'll be curious to see how that goes. That's going to be my best approach to it. And it's, what's weird? I'm going to tell this to you guys. I'll be honest with you guys. It's kind of fun. It's almost actually more fun to follow Pokemon as an outsider, knowing that I've already committed to playing one of these games this year. It's really been fun for me over this past year to see how you guys react, to dissect what the Pokemon community says about a franchise I don't know about, and then try to figure out in my brain with my knowledge just as a gamer what that means for this franchise. I weirdly enjoy that. Does that make any sense? Is that weird? I don't know. I think it probably is weird, but it's just how it is. It's just how I feel, and what I get from watching Pokemon. So anyway, I think it's really interesting that this is happening before E3. because clearly we might have expected this to show up at E3, and E3 right now is a mystery across the board. There's very little leaks and rumors getting out there from Nintendo or Microsoft or the other companies. And so looking at Nintendo specifically, you know, it feels like we keep checking things off the E3 list. Removing Mario Maker 2 and now these 2 Pokemon games from probably being featured at the E3 showcase, it kind of changes the game a little bit, right? I mean, we know Metroid Prime 4 isn't going to be there, so that's 3 humongous titles that have very little to no chance at showing up at E3. So it leaves some of the obvious ones I've discussed. You know, they're going to focus a lot on Fire Emblem. Hopefully they finally blow out Animal Crossing for Animal Crossing fans. I'm hoping to see Bayonetta 3 and Astral Chain show up. And Luigi's Mansion, I definitely want to learn about that. Those are like the big games, right? I mean, I don't know if they'll talk about Daemon X Machina again in the Direct. They probably will at the Treehouse, but I don't know if they'll show up there. And so what surprises are going to be there? You know, I've already discussed this on 2 predictions videos, you know. Pikmin could show up, you know, F-Zero maybe, Monolith's game, Retro's game. I keep hoping for like a Metroid surprise. That would not be Metroid Prime 4, of course. And so I don't know. It's just really cool to me to see Nintendo give us a Mario Maker 2 Direct and then a Pokemon Direct literally before E3 happens. So whatever's going to happen at the Direct during the show, I mean, there's a really good chance that they have some huge surprises that they're going to give us. So they need to get Pokemon out of the way, and they need to get Mario Maker out of the way. And if they need to get 2 games of that high caliber out of the way to make room for stuff at the E3 Direct, it could be, like, amazing. So that's it, man. I guess we'll just kind of wait and see what happens with this Pokemon Nintendo Direct. Definitely curious. Definitely a bit excited to kind of see what's going to happen here and see if it's anything major. And I think that it's going to be a nice little appetizer for E3, something to kind of whet our appetite before we actually get into the show and that Nintendo Direct and that whole week of gaming goodness. So Nintendo seems to maybe have some pretty big things planned. So what do you guys think? How hyped are you for this Pokemon Nintendo Direct? Of course, I know most of you guys are going to be fans of this franchise, and so you're going to be able to tell me what you expect from it as somebody who has insider knowledge of the Pokemon franchise. You know, and what you think about my kind of outsider breakdown and my opinions here. And, you know, I mean, I want to hear how excited you guys are for this and what you expect to see. So with that, this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule2 Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.